Alrighty, we are back, everyone. We are back. Okay, let me share the live again. There we go. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We have a guest already. Their name is Divine. All right. Divine, are you at least 18 years of age?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
Okay, do you believe that Christianity is true?
Um, okay. Let me say this. Christianity as a term, it just means the following of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So people have different interpretations of what that is. A Catholic or an Orthodox or a Protestant, they would probably not call me a Christian, but I call myself a Christian because I think I follow Jesus. But I argue from an Islamic standpoint, even though I still call myself a Christian.
Okay, so it
Okay.
doesn't seem like you're a Christian then, unfortunately. Do
We
you believe
still
that
we
Jesus?
still we
Hold
still believe
on.
in the Bible.
Okay, but do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead?
We don't think he died. We think he will rise from the dead eventually.
Okay, well, so it sounds like you're not a Christian, Divine. So goodbye. I'll never stand it. I'll never understand why Muslims come up here and then they try to pretend that they're Christian or they deny that they're Muslim and then they try to argue for Christian. It makes no sense. It really doesn't. So maybe we'll get an actual Christian up here in just a moment. Like you can't be both Muslim and Christian. It doesn't work that way. So.
Hey Johnny, I'm going to explain to you how the Bible was real, but I'm going to do it through the perspective of Bobby Hill. Okay.
Like I'll never understand that.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. Make sure everyone's tapping that screen. Make sure you're liking, sharing, and reposting and doing all that fun stuff. And maybe we'll get some guests in here in a moment.
I am an atheist from a Hindu perspective.
Yeah, Nuggets just messing around. Josh says, a little confused. So multiple parts of the Bible are historically accurate. Some of it, you're sure, and then they also blend it with mythology. That's the problem, is that some of the history parts might be true, but then there's also a lot of history parts that isn't true because it's blended with mythology, right? So that's the problem. And it's clear that the New Testament is not historically accurate at all. Like it's clear that it's really not. When you look at like Matthew 2 and Luke 2, well, Matthew 2 and Luke 2 place Jesus' birth about 10 years apart. They cannot agree exactly when he was born. They place his birth 10 years apart. That's not historically accurate. But yeah. Dyson, are you at least 18 years of age?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what pronouns do you go by?
I'm he, him.
Okay, do you believe that Christianity is true?
I do. I do believe
Okay,
Christianity is
fantastic.
true.
What would be your best evidence or argument that Christianity is true?
My best. Well, I'd like to start by saying I don't think that religion is objectively provable.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've been an atheist before, or at least agnostic for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I do see lots of issues with classic theism, which has been a big issue for me a lot of my life.
Right.
I'm actually LDS or Mormon, so I think
Of
lots of
course.
people would. Do you get lots of Mormons on here?
Mm-hmm.
You do? Okay.
No, I
So,
don't.
oh, okay.
I misheard your question.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, so I have more of an open theistic view, which I think solves most, if not all, the issues of classic theism.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my resolution is I can't necessarily prove that you're wrong. I can't prove Christianity is true objectively. I don't think any religion is objectively something you can prove. Just we don't even like through the Bible. Like we it's all guesses. Like we're using our history, our historical analysis to try and derive what was actually going on. But
Mm-hmm.
I think most people, the Old Testament wasn't written by the people most people think it was written by. There's lots of misconceptions. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that means you can't believe in God or
Okay, but I
Christianity
but I have no
itself.
reason to believe in God, and Christianity is just demonstrably false if you just read the book, right? Because the New Testament makes claims that are demonstrably false.
Like what?
Like, they make the claim that Jesus was the Messiah, but then he didn't fulfill a single prophecy about the Messiah, not one.
Okay, why would you need a prophecy to come true for that to be the
Because
case?
that's what the Messiah means. The Messiah is a concept within Judaism of a coming Messiah who's going to fulfill prophecies and do a bunch of things through, and do a bunch of things, right? And the claim of the New Testament is that Jesus is this Messiah, that he did come to do this, but then he doesn't do any of that.
It
Right?
depends
So
what
the
you mean.
problem.
Which prophecies are you talking about
Not one.
specifically?
Not one.
Hmm. I'd need to go look at some specific ones that you'd be that
Sure.
would be. I can't think of any off the top of my head that I could like go back and prove necessarily.
Mhm.
But that's probably true. That's probably why most people in classic and Orthodox Judaism don't believe he's Messiah.
Right.
What's your take against the idea that the martyrdoms have some evidence that
Their traditions come
Jesus is the
hundreds of
Christ?
years later.
What,
The
what
martyrdom traditions come hundreds of years later. The earliest ones, there's only three early ones that are in the book itself, and then the rest of them come like hundreds of years later.
does historical? Do we not have historical records that show the apostles being martyred?
Because when would that martyrdom be happening, right? When would the disciples be martyred? First
Uh,
century, right?
yes, first century, yeah.
No accounts from the first century about their martyrdom. It comes hundreds of years later.
Interesting.
The,
I'm being honest. I haven't looked much into like
that's okay. That's fine.
those
There's
historical
only
claims.
there's only three within the book. You have Stephen, you have James, and you have
Yeah,
theoretically you have Paul. Although Paul doesn't die in the book, Paul's death record comes from around the mid second century, indicating that he was beheaded in Rome. So it's three from the book itself. Theoretically, you have three. That's it.
and you're saying the rest of them were added later.
Yeah, the exception would be Peter. Peter is just relatively contemporary. It's found in the Apocryphal Acts of Peter. The problem with the Apocryphal Acts of Peter is that it makes absurd claims. It makes the claim that there was a talking dog, a talking baby, and that there was a wizard duel between Simon Magus and Simon Peter. In the same story,
That's
the
sick.
Romans
Sorry.
willingly crucify Peter upside down. Like, that doesn't seem to be a thing they would do, right? Like, it makes no sense.
I mean, through history, through like historical context, we can make our claim and say yes, this wouldn't make sense. And like if you're looking at it from like a scholarship view, then I think you have reason to believe that that wouldn't, that you'd have reasonable doubt.
Mhm.
That being said, I don't think that you can necessarily disprove anything in that sense. Like
Can you show me where babies talk or where dogs talk?
I believe that the author could definitely embellish. I think most of the Bible is embellished stories. Like
Okay.
I saw you claiming earlier that it's a bunch of history mixed with mythology,
Pretty
and I would
much.
say that's absolutely true. I don't believe in God breathed scripture in that sense. That's a pretty idiotic thing to believe. I'll say.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
that being said, I don't think that you necessarily need to throw away the things we can learn historically from the Bible.
Say that again?
I don't think that necessarily means that you have to throw away everything from the Bible.
I don't throw everything away. I throw away all the parts that are demonstrably false. So,
Which you
like
would
what I was
say
getting
is
to before, right, about the claim that he was the Messiah, right? Well, if I read an actual messianic prophecy, right, like he didn't do it. So if we read Isaiah 11, for example, it says, "A shoot shall come out of the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. His delight shall be in the fear of the Lord. He shall not judge by what his eyes see, or decide by what his ears hear, but with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide with the equity for the meek of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall kill the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his loins. The wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze; their young shall lie down together. And the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put its hand on the adder's den. They will not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. So when the Messiah comes, there's supposed to be a time of world peace when the predators and the prey don't eat each other, when children can play with dangerous snakes and they won't get
Yeah,
bitten. Well,
I'm
Jesus didn't
sure.
bring any of this.
I'm sure you're aware of the idea of the second coming.
I'm aware, but he failed his second coming in Matthew 16, 27, 28. He gave a very specific time frame for it, and it didn't come to pass.
What was the time frame? Can we go to that scripture?
Within the lifetime of some of his disciples.
Yeah, because I know Paul, like we can agree, Paul believed that the second coming would be within his lifetime, which is why
Because
I
Jesus
believe the
said so.
church, the church fell away. Where does he say that?
Yeah, Matthew 16. Yeah, we'll go to it. So Matthew 16 is going to be verses 27 to 28. It says, "For the Son of Man is to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay everyone for what has been done. Truly I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." Well, nobody ever saw this. His disciples did not see this before they died. They died, and none of them ever saw the second coming. They never saw the Son of Man coming with his angels, glory of his Father, repaying everyone for what has been done. They never saw the judgment. They never saw that, which means that he gave them a time frame, and it just didn't come to pass.
What would classic theist's typical response be to that argument?
The apologists would say it's a reference to the next chapter's transfiguration, but the problem is that the transfiguration did not show the Son of Man coming with his angels, glory of his Father, to repay anyone for what has been done. It didn't show any of these things. And it also did not show, and none of his disciples died before this happened, but he said that some of them would not die, which means that others would, but none of them died before that. Which means it can't be the transfiguration.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into that specific concept.
He says the same thing in Matthew 24 as well, basically just a few chapters later. He says, let me get to it here. He says, immediately after the suffering of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on clouds with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from the one end of heaven to the other. From the fig tree learns its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also when you see all these things, you know that he is near at the very gates. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. So again, he tells them at the second coming. He says that the Son of Man's going to come on the clouds with great power and glory. The angels are going to go and they're going to gather his elect, right, and then bring them to heaven, right. And then he says that the Son of Man is going to, that all these things would happen before that generation passed away. But that
this
generation
is the book of Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew 24. The same stories in Mark 13 as well. Mark 13, 24 to 30.
So who do you, according to scholars, who do we know or who do we think wrote those Gospels?
We don't know. The consensus is that they're originally anonymous manuscripts, that the names were added later, and we don't actually know who wrote them. We have no clue.
My contention, or I guess my line of reasoning for still having a credible reason to believe in Christianity would be, even according to that, would be like I said, I don't think the scripture is God breathed. In fact, I don't believe that most of the Gospels were written directly from the apostles. Like you said, it's probably embellished by other historical Christians much later. And so they're importing their reasoning and their understanding of what was happening into the text after they actually happened. So I could reasonably believe that they misunderstood when Christ's coming would be, when this, what we would call the millennium would be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though, is that the basis for his second coming is now gone. If you're going to say, well, they just misunderstood it, because he gave you a time frame for it and it didn't come to pass.
What about I don't know the scripture. What about the scripture that claims that nobody knows when the second coming would be?
Yeah, the day or the hour, but he gave them a time frame for it.
Yeah, I'm claiming that time frame was misunderstood by the author of those texts.
No, he just said that no one knows the day or the hour. Not even the Son, only the Father in heaven knows. But he didn't say that there was no time frame for it. He gave them a time frame. The time frame was very general, just within their lifetime, right? So
correct,
it could be any time during your lifetime.
Correct. And I'm saying that I could reasonably believe that the authors misunderstood what that time frame was.
Well, we
Well,
don't have to rely on what the authors say. We can just read it for ourselves.
well, that's if you withhold to biblical inerrancy, which
So
I
you don't.
don't.
So you don't think that he actually said? You don't think that Jesus actually said this?
No, it's very likely that he didn't say that, and
Oh, well,
that was
then
a
there you go. So
later.
now the criteria is over now because now there's no way to test this. So now it's an unfalsifiable claim.
No, I don't believe that there's not a way to test it.
Yeah,
I don't believe in the Bible only. I'm not sola scriptura. I don't
of
know if you're
course.
very yeah. So according to LDS belief, if we're doing an internal critique, we have the Book of Mormon, which testifies of other things. It could back this up. It's another witness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what
So
time does that come from?
it's about the same time. It's about from 500 BC to about 600 AD.
The
Is the
Book of
time frame.
Mormon.
Yeah.
What time do you think? When do you think the Book of Mormon was written?
That time frame.
No, it wasn't. What evidence
The
would you have that the Book of Mormon was written in the 500s?
If you're doing an internal critique, that's when it was written. That's when we
I know
claim it
that's
was written.
I know that's the claim of Mormonism, but I'm asking what the evidence is.
Are you talking archaeological evidence? What kind of evidence are you?
A-
There's
any kind of
archaeological evidence.
Any kind of evidence that LDS goes back that far.
I forget the line. Do you are you aware of? Let me look at. Give me 1 second.
Sure, no problem.
But I mean, I will say I have gone through most atheists. Like I even now I struggle to withhold certain theistic viewpoints, but there is reason to believe. It's not as simple as something's objectively. I don't think that your worldview is necessarily objectively provable as well.
Well, my
So
my worldview is just people claim there's gods. I say, what's their evidence? They don't have any evidence. I say, well, I don't believe you. That's all my worldview is. My worldview, and atheism. Number one, atheism is not a worldview. Atheism is the question to one proposition. The answer to one proposition. It's, do you believe in God? The answer is no. That's all atheism is. My worldview has nothing. It only uses parts of atheism, right? Like my worldview includes atheism, but my worldview is not atheism.
would you consider yourself agnostic?
No, I would not.
To a form. What would you consider yourself, just out of curiosity?
I'm an atheist,
Oh, gotcha.
but atheism is not a
So,
worldview.
makes sense.
Well, listen, Dyson, thanks for coming up. We're going to move on to the next guest. Thank you for coming up.
Yeah, no worries.
Conversation.
No worries, man. I appreciate you.
Yep, see you
You
later.
have a good one. Bye.
You too. But yeah, big W. Anyways, our next guest is called Ben Dover. So
Probably a
I'm
troll.
kind of thinking about this next guest. I'm going to bring them up. Oh, thank goodness they're not here. Okay, good. Because there's no way that that's a serious. I'm very doubting that that's a serious interlocutor if that's their name.
So, Howard, like I was saying earlier, Jesus lied, whenever he said in the Bible that he was going to come back before a new generation of people were born, and he never did.
Right. All right, we'll bring up the Punisher. Punisher, are you at least 18 years of age? Oh, I don't know where they went. Okay. Maybe they'll come back. Goo, I don't know what you're talking about. Hebrew. We're not talking about the Hebrew. Matthew was not written in Hebrew. It was written in Koine Greek. It sounds like Goo5 in the comments doesn't actually know what language the New Testament was written in. Interesting. Oh, well.
Yeah, I find it rather funny that whenever people come in, like while you're discussing with another guest, and literally you are talking about, like, again, how Jesus said he'd come back before a new generation was born and everything, and then people, will come in like a second after you say that, and they're like, oh, well, what's he lying about? He never said that. That's not in the Bible. You know, that kind of
Right.
thing. It's like Johnny's literally explaining it right this second. All you have to do is pay attention.
Yeah. That's literally, yeah. I don't.
That and
Sometimes that's
also
like that.
um, I'll always be like, "Hey, get in the box," and then they just run.
But Gu 5, the New Testament was not written in Hebrew. Okay, it's not written in Hebrew; it's written in Greek, right? So you can't use the Hebrew. I don't understand about Hebrew, right? It's generation in that generation, right? And there's no Hebrew in Matthew 24. That's not what there's no Hebrew. It's Koine Greek. I don't know why. I don't know why people don't realize that the New Testament was written in Koine Greek and not Hebrew. Okay, well,
I actually did not know that. I also thought it was written in Hebrew, so I learned something.
that's okay because at least like you're not, you're not like, you know what I
I'm
mean. The difference is that somebody in the comments is like trying to is like so confident, thinking that they're somehow right, and then they're blatantly not right.
right. Hey, Del Piero, get in the box and we'll explain that to you. But Johnny literally has a scholar's Bible like right in front of him, so
Mhm.
that's where he's getting all this information.
Uh, God doesn't lie at all. Oh, actually, that's not true. He does in Genesis 1. Sorry, Genesis 2:17. Jesus is not God. That's a nonsense claim. The book doesn't even really make that claim.
Yeah, that's
It
true
seems
too.
to be a misunderstanding of what Jesus is actually saying in the text. He never actually claims to be God. He claims to have a special relationship with the Father. He never actually claims to be God. That's a nonsense thing.
Yeah, I guess that's the former Christian that's still kind of coming out of me. I need to deconstruct a little more.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, King James of Rico. King James is the worst Bible translation ever. I'm convinced it's the worst one. So.
Thou shalt do as thine say, or thus will hang on thy crosseth, because I. So thus saith Yahweh.
He's speaking the old English there.
The Queen's English.
Yeah. Nugget says they found some really good your mama jokes. That's funny. Joe says Jesus is the Son of God. Deny him and face hell. I deny your imaginary friend, and I deny his son, his supposed son, who was a false Messiah and didn't fulfill any prophecies and was a liar and a fraud. So yeah, I reject Jesus because he was a liar and a fraud. Sorry, but I won't be facing hell because hell doesn't exist. Sorry.
Now, me on the other hand, I will face hell, but not the same hell that they're talking about. Of course, I also have different beliefs than Johnny.
Yeah, that is true.
My hell is a goddess. She watches over. Well, she's not even really a goddess. She's a giantess, and she watches over the souls of the underworld that died of
Hmm.
sickness and old age and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll probably face hell.
I've been restricted for literally no reason. That's fantastic. Oh well.
Probably because of the word we just used.
Could be.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll see if we can get another guest up here. If not, I'll probably just call it quits for today. I know we haven't streamed a whole lot. We haven't had a whole lot of guests or anything, but I've been streaming for about an hour, roughly. Maybe. I'm not really too sure. I haven't been keeping track of time, so I don't know. I'd say probably about an hour. 50 minutes, 40 minutes, I don't know, something like that.
Not including that short break you had to take to restart the live.
Yeah. Let's see.
Which Bible text was it you mentioned that you
Oh,
said God
Genesis
lied?
2:17, right? He tells Adam and Eve that the day they ate of the fruit they would die, and then they did not die.
Oh, you're talking about Adam and Eve, right?
Yep.
I figured.
Yep, he tells Adam, he says, and the Lord God commanded the man, you may freely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. From the day that you eat of it, you shall die. Well, that didn't happen. They didn't die when they ate the fruit. They didn't die. There was no death. They didn't die.
But
It's just a
John,
blatant lie.
but Johnny, they died spiritually, not physically.
And then I asked them what spiritual death is, and they can never tell me. They can never tell me what that actually means.
Right, yeah.
It's almost like it's just a buzzword that they've heard, and they don't actually have a meaning for it. So almost like it's just word salad.
Right. And the sad part is there's people out there that would be like, oh, well, that means that, they got away from God. It's like, but they didn't get away from God because God never said he would abandon them. He just said that they would die. So.
Oh well, I think I'm just gonna call it quits for today. I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow. We'll see after I get home from work. So, but yeah, I would like to thank everybody for being here. Thank you all for the likes, shares, and the gifts. I really appreciate it. I really hope you all have a fantastic afternoon, and I will see you all later. Bye, everyone.